Thinking about all of the catalysts that XRP has leading into Q4 of this year, I just don't see how XRP doesn't make history yet again, just how it did back in Q4 of 2024. And if we're thinking about that, right, XRP went from 50 cents roughly to $3 and almost 40 cents within that short period of time, right? And we're talking about just from October to January. This time around, though, XRP is still hovering around $2.80. And with all of the catalysts around XRP, with the environment around crypto itself in the US and even outside of the US, I just don't see how XRP doesn't skyrocket to, $4+ to target those higher levels of like $7 to $10 and potentially even higher by the end of the year going into Q1 of 2026. Now, if we're thinking about this, what is the biggest catalyst around XRP currently? What's the big thing that everyone's locked in on? Well, it's the ETFs. Let's just be honest here, right? ETFs are the sweet catalyst that everyone's still locked in on, waiting for some altcoin to get the approval first. I still think that XRP is the prime player to get the first altcoin ETF approval in the US. And if that's going to be the case, that is going to skyrocket the value of XRP. The inflows alone into the ETF will probably rally close to Ethereum and Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are underestimating how big the spot ETF for XRP could be. Now, let's go over here to this post from Cointelegraph, which I thought was very interesting because, again, Cointelegraph is typically not that supportive of XRP. They were very quick to talk down on XRP back in 2020 when the lawsuit got announced, and they've just been very hostile towards Ripple and XRP for so long up until recently because, again, you could just see this shift happen, right? Oh, now it's very popular to talk about XRP and Ripple, so we need to be very positive about it, right? Like, that's how ridiculous this shift has been. A lot of Bitcoin maxis have also kind of fallen into that category as well, but here we have Insight. XRP eyes an 85% rebound to $4.80 as leverage resets and accumulation kicks in. Now, here we have a few key takeaways. Number one, XRP has slipped nearly 20% in 45 days, consolidating within a descending triangle, nearing the $2.70 support. On-chain and futures data show leverage reset and early signs of accumulation reducing liquidation risk. The confluence of a fair value gap, Fibonacci retracement lines, and fractal patterns points to a potential 60% to 84% rebound into Q4. Now, listen, I'm not going to put too much weight on this. One thing that I will say, though, is that if we could start to see a rebound back to the previous highs, we could easily target that $4 plus level. And if we're going to see $4.85 targeted by the beginning of Q4, then that will lead to a $10 plus XRP by the end of the year. I'm very confident on that because of how much hype and how much demand there will be for XRP. Now, that's in the perfect world. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how XRP is going to look going into Q4. We just need to really pay attention to some of the announcements around ETFs leading into that, because the ETF will be the major decider of that, in my opinion, because, again, everyone's just waiting and waiting and waiting on that. And there's definitely a lot of weight behind ETFs currently on altcoins. But beyond that, let's go over here to this video clip, because this is also from CoinDesk, and they also fit that same sort of category of Cointelegraph, right? Where they haven't really talked positive about Ripple and XRP until it was popular to do so. But here we have from Safe Crypto, CoinDesk, XRP awaits ETF catalyst. XRP slipped 4%, but the real focus is October when the SEC decides on spot XRP ETFs. Institutions are watching every move. One approval could flip the switch to a massive bull run. Check this out.
Let's take a look at the chart of the day. XRP dropped 4% today after rejecting resistance at $2.88, even as speculation for a spot ETF builds. Despite underperforming the broader market, the token has shown resilience as institutional
Underperforming the broader market? I don't know what she's looking at. She needs to take a quick look at the 12-month view, because then you can really see the truth about that. It's been outperforming the broader market.
accumulation battles short-term selling pressure. Key regulatory decisions by the SEC on a spot XRP ETF are expected in October and could serve as a major bullish catalyst for the asset. As of time of recording, XRP was at $2.82. That's it for today's chart of the day. I'm Jen Sanasi. We'll see you next. Let's take a look at.
Now, on top of that, we have over here from Zafe Crypto as well. XRP ETF hype is real. Bloomberg senior analyst confirms futures XRP and XRP products launched after Solana's and are seeing more interest. XRP ETF could become a long-term institutional favorite. Demand building, momentum growing as well. Check it out.
I would have thought Solana would do pretty well, but we have Solana futures products that could be a decent indicator, and we have the Solana product now that has staking. And ironically,
how are they doing?
Pretty good, actually. But ironically enough, there's also leverage futures XRP and XRP products. They actually launched after the Solana products and had even more interest. So there's a lot of interest there. Is it going to be the level of interest that the Bitcoin ETF launch had? Absolutely not. Like anyone who thinks like, oh, Bitcoin ETFs took in 40 billion, my XRP ETF is going to take in the same amount or whatever. That's just not how this is going to work. These are longer tail assets. I think there will be demand. There will be plenty. There will probably be multiple products for each of these assets to do well. Maybe not all 10 of the ones I listed, but a decent amount of them. I would.
Now, obviously, he's not, really kind of looking at this as a idea of, oh, XRP is going to flip Bitcoin, ETFs and it's going to outperform them. Listen, it's very hard to say for certain what's going to happen here because it's fair game for any prediction with this. In my opinion, when we think about XRP ETFs compared to like the Bitcoin ETF, the number one thing that I have in mind here is I'm looking at Ethereum and how Ethereum ETFs have performed, and they've been very, very significant. Now, for thinking about that, all right, we look back at 2017, 2018, and even prior with XRP trading above Ethereum. I do think that XRP can rival Ethereum ETFs, and we already know that Ethereum ETFs have rivaled against Bitcoin ETFs at some point in time this year, which could kind of make the argument of, oh, I wonder if XRP ETFs could also do the same thing and rally against both Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's possible. Is it going to be for certain? Probably not, but we'll take it one step at a time and see. We still need approval. We can't get too far ahead of ourselves. Now, on top of that, we do have a 94% chance now on Polymarket of a Ripple ETF approved in 2025. I still think that this is closer to 100%. I think that the odds are closer to 100% here. I do believe that we are going to see an ETF approval by the end of this year. And from that point on, we will really start to see what happens because, again, it's going to be the deciding factor on, number one, how additional altcoin ETFs could stack up against Ethereum and Bitcoin, but also it's going to show us the real institutional demand of XRP as well. Now, on top of this, Grayscale did recently celebrate the first anniversary of the Grayscale XRP Trust. XRP is the native digital asset of the XRP Ledger, built for fast and low-cost payments and emerging smart contract capabilities through the XRP Ledger extensions. Now, they did celebrate this on September 5th, and the reason why I'm bringing this back up is because Grayscale is one of those key players around the ETF side of XRP, right? They are the first ones to get a decision made around the XRP ETF. And this is going to happen on October 18th. But on top of that, look at how stacked October is for ETF decisions for XRP. I mean, this is kind of crazy. It's one after another after another. And if we're thinking about this, think about the environment. End of September, and I've talked about this already, there's a 100% chance of a Fed rate cut in September, October, and December. Okay, if we're thinking about this, we get a Fed rate cut in September. Causes the markets to erupt because typically what a Fed rate cut means is that we are going to see the M2 supply expand rapidly to the upside, just as usual. Okay, well, all of a sudden, owning assets becomes the big push. So now people want to own pieces of the stock market. They want to buy up crypto. They want to buy gold and silver. Every single market will erupt during this time. Now, if we're thinking about that, XRP starts to surge leading into October. Then later in October, October 18th, 19th, 20th, 23rd, 24th, 25th, we see ETF spot, decisions being made for XRP. one after another after another. And if these get approved, that environment is extremely bullish. Rate cuts, market liquidity improving greatly, market surging, XRP starting to rebound in a big way, pushing back to $3+, potentially leading into a $4+ range at the same exact time that the ETF decisions are starting to be made. You seriously can't make up a more perfect scenario for XRP than what we're looking at right now. Now, on top of this, let's go over here to this post because, again, I saw this earlier today and I completely agree with it. This is Jungle Inc. and we have 2-year crypto performance. Bitcoin and Ethereum sprinted out of the gate after the 2022 bottom, but XRP has dominated since, up 456%. The key drivers were the fastest CME futures contract ever to $1 billion in open interest, spot XRP ETF on the horizon, the EVM sidechain plus ROUSD plus USDC growing, the XRP ledger liquidity, institutional DeFi plus Robinhood derivatives expansion. Alt season is close. XRP isn't slowing down, and it's not. Listen, this is why I keep saying that the environment around XRP right now is a lot more bullish than you think. And a lot of people are underestimating how much demand XRP could see going into Q4 and also potentially, going into 2026. We don't know when the market's going to top. We really kind of take that, one step at a time. But the main thing that I'm locked in on here is just the overall bullish scenario for XRP. Every single catalyst that we've seen so far around XRP has played out, right? The SEC lawsuit ending, institutional demand picking up, even the futures contracts are seeing a ton of demand. They're seeing a lot of success. The sidechain, the EVM sidechain is definitely one to also watch around numbers because, contracts on the XRP ledger have been expanding to the upside. And then also, the Robinhood platform, like that derivatives platform is definitely still on the table. We have yet to hear any news about that. But, just the entire environment here for crypto itself is, I would say it's just increasingly more and more bullish as we go on. I mean, I thought that we would have peaked a little bit around, the bullish territory for crypto going into like Q2 of this year because of the trade war and the tariff discussions that were kind of like that black cloud over the market. But the thing about it is it didn't slow anything. We continued to see increased announcements and adoption for crypto, and XRP just continued to see more and more positive news, which is why I still think that there's so much pressure behind the XRP price action that we're just simply not seeing yet. And I probably don't think that we see this until we start to see the altcoin market really breaking out. And 0x Reflection made a great point about this. He said the next 3 months will matter more than the last 2 years. Don't get shaken out because this is what the total 3 looks like right now. Guys, we're in this massive uptrend where we are trading just against the 2021 all-time highs. The second that we start to break over this, it's going to be a massive push to the upside for altcoins. We're going to see a huge, I would say, surge across the board for altcoin liquidity and altcoin moves. And I just think that this is what we should be focused on right now. I understand that there's definitely a lot of negative price action out there. I know that things have been chopping. It hasn't been the best, but just look at the environment. Think twice about, where things are headed in this market. I mean, think twice about what has happened in the past when we see an environment like this. I just think that right now in this space, if you're not paying attention to some of these things and you're just looking at price action, you might simply just get shaken out and you might sell way too early and make a big mistake here. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.